All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blige, powered by the United Goalkeeping Alliance. We want you to come in, sit back, and enjoy a podcast all about goalkeeping on the pitch, sideline to sideline, and everything in between. Whether you're a coach, goalkeeper, a parent, we are exploring every corner of the position with honest conversations, pushing the culture of goalkeeping forward and opening up space for the discussions that matter. Kind of talk others shy away from, but booyah! We lean into it. No holds barred. Big thanks to our sponsor, the United Goalkeeping Alliance. We'll share more about the UGKA later in the show, but for now, let's get this party started. Here's Don, Blige, and Eric.
Hello, everybody. Blige here with Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blige, powered by the UGKA. And I am extremely excited and very honored to have on our guest today, a long time friend who's such a good friend. I consider him family, and that's Tim Mulqueen. Eric is also joining us today. We are very excited to have Tim on board with his experience in the position and in the game. And also, and on a side note, one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. So, Tim we started our personal association back when I was coaching at Rutgers, and Mulch was playing for St. Joe's University. And he wanted to come to Rutgers, but didn't, for some reasons, with the decision-making process. We did not bring on Mulch, but he went down to St. Joe's and had an incredible career there. And one of the questions I want you to talk about in our talk, Tim, is the game that you played against us with your 6-inch Mohawk, and because that was a classic. But Tim, Jersey guy, through and through, and St. Joe's High School, Hall of Famer there. St. Joe's Metuchen or St. Joe's University, Hall of Famer there. And now he's with St. Joe's coaching the university down in the men's program, which is a tremendous opportunity for him and a great choice, by the way, for the St. Joe's team to get him back into a head coaching position where he belongs. Mulch has an unbelievable long history of great goalkeeping performances and coaching. Came to Rutgers as an assistant coach, helped us during I think it was 88 to 94. I think Mulch, you were there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mulch was a part of our actually three Final Four runs, I think. He beat me on that one. And we both had a hand in developing Dave Beretta, who Mulch always said is one of the best big time big game goalkeeper coaches he's ever worked with the scene. I agree. And then helping get Billy Andrecki become our first All-American on the men's side. Played professionally after that. That's where Mulch and I started really tighten up our relationship. And then got the opportunity to go up to the MetroStars to audition for goalkeeping a coach with Tony Meola and MetroStars. And that started a relationship to continue on for many decades with Mulch at the national level. Also had tremendous success as a goalkeeper coach, winning the MLS Cup, I think, right? MLS Cup,
Yeah.
Supporter Shield, US Open Cup. He's all part of that. U17, U20 Olympics. Got
Yes.
the world, yeah, got to go to the Olympics. Was in China. I mean, what Mulch has done, and I always told Mulch this too. I always said that I was always respected him because he always took an opportunity and ran with it. And one of the nicest things Mulch said to me early on was that um, he always said that I was qualified to do those kinds of things, but I told him I just couldn't do it. And he took the ball and ran with it. And Mulch always said, well, I always had other things I had to do and take care of. So it was a very nice compliment from somebody who went on and did it. And to compliment me that way was really personally was a very nice moment. So I appreciate that, Mulch. And the other one was when we're down at I'm going to let Mulch tell that one later, down at Tim Howard's camp and Mulch's camp. How he introduced me. I thought that was really cool. But with national team, I mean, Tim, what you've done and the levels you've done it at, and the keep rolling of the successes is a tribute to who you are as a person and as a coach, and your passion. I mean, you are one of the few people I know that had a passion to do whatever it takes to get the knowledge, the position and knowledge of the game to where it needs to be. Now you're head coach again, because you were head coach at Memphis, and now you're the head coach at St. Joe's. It's personally, it's great to see you there. I got down there to see you last spring, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Okay, and watch you and what you did already, Mulch, to turn that program around, the energy that you created with the team, and with the alumni. Because I sat with your roommate too from college.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a character!
Yeah.
And it just if it did my heart really, really good, Tim, to see what you've done and where you are and what you're going to do. So. Uh, that's just it in a nutshell. Orlando City. I mean, he was the MLS goalkeeper coach. It just rolls on and on and on. And if I continue to talk about Mulch in that regard, we won't have any time for the podcast.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Mulch, on behalf of Don, Eric, and the whole United Goalkeeping Alliance family, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, bud.
It's my pleasure. I've been following you guys. I've been, listening to all the podcasts. So many guys I know, from Bushy to Mike Ammann, who I coached in New York, to, all the great guys that you have on. It's been great, and this is a really great space. I'm really excited to be here. I love what you guys are doing. Um, and again, for me, this is a passion. This is what I love. I can talk goalkeeping forever. So I really appreciate you having me. And Blige touched on it. I've been blessed to do some things in the game that I'm pretty proud of, but it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Blige. It was funny. I wasn't good enough to play at Rutgers. He was being kind. They had a great goalkeeper in Joey D. Marat, but I kind of played with a little bit of chip on my shoulder every time we played him, to say like, "Hey, I may not have been good enough, but I'm going to give you a handful." And the Mohawk came because we tied Villanova. You know anything about St. Joe's? Villanova's like our hatred. We hate Villanova. They hate us. It's fine. And I didn't think I played well. So my birthday, September 7th. So we had a little celebration. And the guy said, I said, I'm in a slump. I got to break out of it. So they gave me, I said, I want a Mohawk. Change my haircut. So I got a Mohawk, and I played a really good game the next game against LaSalle. So I'm like, well, I got to keep it now. So I ended up having a pretty good year. So I just kept it. And when we played Rutgers, it was at its peak. So, and I was lucky enough to have a pretty good performance that game. And it's funny how things happen. I think playing well against Rutgers allowed me to be on their radar to help Lodge coach.
He
Coach
needs a lot of help.
Riasso became a dear friend, another mentor of mine. He actually called me a son of a bitch at halftime of that game. I'm walking by, I go, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" He goes, "You son of a bitch." I'm like, "Okay, I hope that's still PG."
That's
You
PG.
hear that on TV. So, uh, but it was great. And, Blige did a really nice thing. He took me under his wing. He allowed me to coach. He allowed me to have input. You know, so much of soccer is territorial, where it's my idea, my way. We're very guarded. Blige welcomed me, open arms. And from there, he allowed me to grow and learn and be a coach. So we affectionately, I do, and now everybody seems to do it. Blige is like the godfather of goalkeeping for us. He started so many of us in coaching and in playing. Like, you got to kiss the ring. I mean, he's our guru. So to be on with you guys and see what you guys have all done is a tremendous honor. So I'm happy to be here and talk about goalkeeping and thank everybody who's been a part of my career.
That's awesome, Most. Thank you very much for those words, by the way. They always mean a lot to me. Listen, we want to talk to you about, because of your vast array of experience, okay, and at the highest level. Um, we thought you would be a phenomenal person to talk with in regard to what does it take to coach that level? What does it take to be a mentor at that level? What does it take to have the relationship between the liaison between the goalkeeper and yourself and the head coach? All those things I think that a lot of people kind of don't know about, and you've been, in my opinion, the best at it. I mean, you've worked at all the levels and you've been successful everywhere you've gone. That's incredible, Mulch. So why don't we start off? 'Cause I know by the way, you get on tangents, that's cool. Okay, it's no problem at all.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And I already warned these guys that when you get on a roll that, we're going to let you roll because when you and Charlie and Verso and I got on with Glenn Crooks, kept interrupting to say something. I'm not done yet, you know.
I'm sorry.
So I said,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I said, okay.
This is
But
your show. This is your show. I'll back off. I promise.
no, I'm just busted, as you know. But why don't you start off with any part of that you want to hit into right away, Mulch? We'd be very, very interested to hear about it. So,
Yeah, I think there's um, a misnomer or an idea that's out there that's incorrect, which is those high level goalkeepers don't need coaching. They absolutely crave it. They crave it. The better the goalkeeper, the more input they wanted. And it was interesting when I first started at Rutgers, I was a year removed from playing against those guys. So that was a different element. But again, through preparation, being organized, seeing the game through their eyes is certainly helpful. And it certainly gives you that respect that you have to develop right away with any top goalkeeper. I think, for me, my first, besides Billy and Drake, my first taste of it was Tony Meola. And, Tony's a, very accomplished guy. Look, he is a college kid, went to the World Cup. I mean, didn't concede a goal in World Cup qualifying, by the way, to this day. And then played in '94. And when we got together in '96, the league had just started. Even though we're Jersey guys, I didn't really know, we didn't travel in the same circles. So, when I first got there, we're not too much, I'm older than he is, but not too far removed. And, Tony was, he's a high level goalkeeper. He knows what he likes. He knows things that make him better, or things that he wants to do. So he feels confident. So for me to go in there, my first thing was to be organized, to have an idea of what I wanted a session to look like. But I also talked to him. Because it's not at the highest level, it's not about you. It's about them. And it's about giving them confidence because, I talked to Tim Howard about this a bit. Being a goalkeeper, you're a showman, you're a performer in terms of you have to act like you've made the greatest save or given up the worst goal the exact same way. And to get to that stage, they have to be confident. They have to be, dialed into things that make them feel like they're going to play well. So when I would come up with an idea for a session, I would go to Tony. And at the time, not only did I have Tony, I had Zach Thornton, who was the Olympic team goalkeeper at the time. So I would sit down with both guys and get their ideas, share my ideas. And then as that grew, I found out things that they liked, things that they wanted incorporated in training. So it became more at that level, becomes more of a collaboration than me saying to them, this is what we're doing today. So I think that buys you respect, and that's the key. And it buys you trust. If they feel you're there to help them get better and it's not about you, you're not front and center, then they're really, on board with things you may want to try, ideas you may want to have. And the better the goalkeeper, the more feedback they want. They want to be coached because for a long time, people probably stayed away from them and like, oh, they're good enough. They don't need instruction. They don't need feedback. Or if I give them too much feedback, they're going to pick up and go to another club. They don't. They want to be coached just like everybody else because they know to stay at the level that they're at, there's people coming up behind them. They got to be at the top of their game. And if you can help that, they're all in.
Most, I got a question for you in regard to the first time you worked with Tony.
Yeah.
How was it going from like an environment where you're in the Rutgers, which I think Rutgers is a good preparation.
It was great preparation. I mean, high level games,
yeah,
high level goalkeeping, a lot at stake. Yeah, it was great.
yeah. But what was your going into Tony, the first confrontation with Tony, not confrontation, but first association with Tony? How did you feel as far as a coach, where you were at your level in your career, to all of a sudden, boom, here I am working with Tony, Big Tones, as we called him, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
So I was called and asked if I would go in for a week and train the goalkeepers because they were looking for a goalkeeper coach. So I had like 2 or 3 days to prepare, and I was like, okay, I came up with like a very generic session that would get him moving, get some handling, some footwork in. I kind of tried to feel out how long I would have. The head coach said, between 30 and 40 minutes. I'm like, okay. And then I said, like, what's the next activity? And he said, well, we'll be playing, so they'll see live shots. So I had to, one, to incorporate handling, hitting the ground, and seeing something live. So when I got out there, me and Tony basically had never truly sat down and talked or met. We get in the locker room, I'm whisked away into the coach's room. They're in the players' room. And we get out there, and it's myself, Tony, Zach Thornton, and a guy, Matt Olson, who played at Wake Forest. And right away, Tones is like, me and Zach will warm up over here. You can take Matt. So I'm like, okay. And now my Jersey guy comes in. And I'm like, I'm going to appeal to him as one Jersey guy to another. So I said, Tone, can I talk to you for a second? And to his credit, he came right over. I said, look, I'm here for a week. If you don't like me, I leave. No problem. But while we're here together for a week, why don't we work together? And he's like, what do you have in mind? And I told him, he's like, yeah, let's do it. And from that day on, not a problem. Not a problem. But it was like a little, like, I'm not going to lie, it was a little intimidating. Like, I grew up, around the same age, but this guy had gone to places that I never even dreamed I could get to. And now all of a sudden I'm in charge of preparing him for, an MLS game on the weekend, the second weekend of the season, or the first weekend of the season. So it was a bit intimidating. So that's how that first one went. But because I did some kind of preparation, like really basic, it worked and they liked it. And then by the end of the week, I thanked them, all three of them. And next thing I know, Tone was talking to the GM, and the GM said, look, we want to do this full time. So, I love Tony. He's a dear friend, and he was great to work with. And I appreciate the opportunity that he gave me.
Now, how was the that's a great story. How was the working with the mentality between Tony and Zach? As Zach was working to be prepared and probably, I'm sure, wanted to be the number one, and Tony being Tony was had a certain level of arrogance that carried him to the level that he got to, I believe. I mean, he had that confidence, presence. I'm the man. Come and try and take it from me. That's kind of what I always felt Tony was.
Yeah.
How did you work with that, Zach and Tony? Trying to keep Zach fired up, and but making sure Tony was always where he needed to be as well.
Just real quick, I think going back to something you say about Tony having that air of arrogance or confidence, the one thing I found with all those goalkeepers, from Tim Howard to Kasey to Guzan, all those guys, they all have it. They have it in different ways, but they all have that bring it on. This is my job, and no one's taking it from me, because they have to. Because if there's weakness, then it permeates to the players in front. They lose confidence, and it all goes. So, but I think that was a really hard situation, because Zach came from playing all the time at Loyola, and then, he was an All-American, and now he's in with the Olympic team. And now he comes, and look, there's no bones about it. He's not going to play. Tony was going to play. And then we would get, Zach would get an Open Cup game or get a game here and there if Tony got called away to other things. So it was hard. It was hard to keep him sharp and motivated, but credit to Zach. Zach knew he was a rolled ankle away, a broken finger away from playing. And sure enough, about 5 games into the season, Tony rolled an ankle, and Zach had to play the next 3 games. And he played really well. And, he took the moment and did well. But what I would do every day with Zach is I would treat him like the number one. I would coach him the same as I coached Tony. I would talk to him the same. When we did video review, I made sure he knew what we were trying to do from the back forward, or how we were going to try to play. And then the only difference was he didn't get the 90 minutes on the weekend. Zach, I would ask him every day, do you want to stay out, do some extra? If he didn't get, extra work in with the team, he would stay. So I made it a point to make him feel included and make him feel like he's 1A. Because if you don't, and you lose them now. And we saw this blodge at Rutgers when Andracky rolled his ankle and Dave Beretta had to jump in and rolled off 4 shutouts. That moment can happen. And if he's not ready to go, that's egg on me as the goalkeeper coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of, again, so much of it is relationship building at that level and having good conversations and meaningful and letting them vent, because it's hard. It's hard when you've been the man and you look up and you're like, yeah, Tone's going to play every game. So that's how we went about it. And I think we did it well because Zach got drafted in the expansion draft in 98, and we knew that would come. Well, in 98, he was goalkeeper of the year and won MLS Cup. So it must have worked to get him to that level.
That's awesome.
That actually took my question. I was like, what's the common thread between these top goalkeepers, right? I mean, what's the different element?
Yeah.
Sets them apart.
I think, they all have strengths and weaknesses. Some are more technical than others. Some are more athletic than others. Some read the game a little bit better than others. But what they all have in common is they love the big moment. The bigger the stage, the better they go. I think Tony Meola has had the greatest goalkeeping performance on American soil. Tim may have one against Belgium, but Tony's game, if you look at the 2000 MLS Cup final, that team from Chicago was voted the greatest team in MLS history. The saves he made were insane. Insane. He was the MVP of the league, goalkeeper of the year, comeback player of the year, MVP of the final. Like, it was insane. But the bigger the moment for those guys, the better they play. So that separates them from the other goalkeepers who may be talented enough, but they don't have that edge, that competitiveness that you may beat me once, but son of a gun, you ain't beating me again. That was an out-of-worldly experience. It's not going to happen again. They have this inner confidence and inner desire to play with a bit of rage, but controlled. Like, I dare you, almost like I want you to shoot. Like, not where, like, look, sometimes I played, I'm like, please God, keep the ball away from me. Like, keep it down the other end of the field. Like, keep it as far away as me as possible. I tell the story, my coach, and I didn't have a goalkeeper coach in college, so my head coach warmed me up. Well, he was an All-American forward. So he must have scored 600 goals on me in warm-ups. He did everything but, like, take his jersey off and rub it above his head to celebrate. And I would start games, and I would tell the team, like, boys, give me 15 minutes to just get my head right again. I just gave up 600 goals. Those guys wanted that pressure. They wanted that atmosphere.
So when you look for goalkeepers, whether it's recruiting for college or back with the national team,
sure.
back whenever I mentioned earlier in our talk that you actually spoke at my B license. What are you looking for? I mean, if you're looking for these traits, obviously athleticism is one of them. I mean, you've got to have great athleticism to be
correct
to play this position. But what are you looking for?
Well, I think for me, it always goes back to technique. At the highest levels, rebounds or goals, and that comes from poor technique or poor positioning. Your ability to deal with balls correctly, be it, do I hold it? Do I push it? Do I beat it into the ground so it gets over a hip so I can have time to recover and get up while the player has to bring the ball down? So for me, technique, getting the crosses with the proper footwork, bringing the proper leg up, it always dials back to technique for me. And the guys at the highest level have to have the technique because guys are hitting balls with massive pace. They have tremendous accuracy. So you've got to be like rebound placement becomes paramount if you can't hold it. So I look for technique. Athleticism, of course, but you have to be technical. And then reading of the game, your ability to communicate. Things are going to happen much faster at that level. So you have to be a player two in advance. We always talked about the what ifs. What if Landon turns it over? What if Michael Bradley has an error? What if Josie doesn't hold it? Now they counter. Like, where are we with all of that? So you have to have that foreshadowing of an error. And then you have to have an unbelievable mental toughness. that I worry about in today's goalkeeping. And here's why. We rob kids the ability to learn under failure. A kid fails and the coach takes them out, they go to another club. They're gone. And they're going to keep bouncing from club to club until they're ensured they're the number one. And it's funny, I talk about parents for goalkeepers. They want their son to play in front of the best team. So they want the best right back. They want the best left back, the best striker. But they want competition for those positions. So they get the right guy. But God forbid there's competition for his job, right? They want assurances that he's the number one all the time. That's not real world. It's not how it works. So we have to develop that mental toughness that, you're responsible for decisions, technique, outcomes by playing the position. You're going to make mistakes. That happens. How you respond to that mistake tells me the quality of the first one you made. So if you make an error, it's going to happen, especially at a young age. There can't be 2 or 3 more, right? You got to move by it and get on with the game and give your team a chance to win. So I look at their ability to bounce back from mistakes. Do they hang their head? I was a Cosmo guy growing up. I read Shep Messing's book. And if you talk about the 77 MLS, NASL championship, that was back when you could put the ball down and pick it back up and goal. So the goalkeeper for Seattle put the ball down, and Stevie Hunt, the winger for the Cosmos, was behind him. Ran, took it, and scored into an open net. And the goalkeeper for Seattle hung his head into the net like this. And at that point, Pele told the players, he's done. He's done. Go at him. He's done. And that resonated with me. Like, you can't show that. And, you saw it last week with Tottenham's goalkeeper. When he gave up the 3rd goal, he just laid on the ground. You got to sub him off then. So I look for that mental toughness, the resiliency to bounce back from mistakes. And parents got to let the kids do that on their own, not with their help.
You're guiding parents right now. What would your guidance be to head coaches?
Am I guiding what I would say to the head coach? He's going to make mistakes, or she's going to make mistakes, right? You have to coach, right? Now comes the coaching part. Like, berating a goalkeeper, everybody in the park knows they made the mistake. And now you're screaming, like, no kidding. I went under my body. I know it, and now the coach, you got to save that. No kidding. I got to save it. Like, coach me, like, tell me what I could have done better. Maybe not at that moment, but when I come over, your hands have to go to the ball first. Lower, your stance was too high. Give me something. But you can't be reactionary and think that every game is going to be a clean sheet. They're going to make errors. So you have to coach now. And you have to, look, I'm not asking you to throw rainbows and butterflies and bouquets at the guy if he makes a mistake. No, you can have a hard conversation. Have it at the appropriate time. And you have to have it. They have to know they made a mistake. But then you got to give them a chance to rectify, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
When we talk about Zach, J.D. Martin got his 5th year at Northwestern and got his MBA. Then he went and stayed on as a training goalkeeper, I believe.
Correct.
With Chicago, right? J.D. shared a story with me when, I guess, Zach was having a terrible practice. Absolutely. He just wasn't on. He was just off. And JD kept looking, and JD kept getting like, man, it's how can Zach deal with that type of thing? Zach did not show anything, as far as nothing. He said, and afterwards, JD confronted him about it. He said, hey, Zach, I know you had a rough day at practice today. He said, how did you get through that and not show anything? He says, well, I'm a pro. I cannot show a weakness. I don't want anybody to try to come up over my shoulder. I basically, by showing an iron grit through failure, kind of lay down a message that nobody's coming in anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was very pertinent,
It is. And the guys I've been blessed to deal with, with Tim and Tony and even Kasey, they had that. Like, they're going to have off days, but for them, it's just that. It's an off day. It's not habitual. I'm not going to let it be habitual. Talking with Tim through his time in the Premier League, if he had a bad Monday, he said Tuesday had to be spot on. I needed to be good on Tuesday then. And then as you got closer to match day, then everything had to be dialed in. And, that's going to happen. Not everybody has a great day, but Zach's approach is absolutely the right one. And I hope we influenced that by his time with us in New York.
I want to go back to what you said earlier about technique.
Yeah.
Just to hit on that, because
I agree.
I run into so many, and we make a distinction here, and maybe you do too, between goalkeeper trainers and goalkeeper coaches.
Amen, brother. Amen.
And I find a lot of trainers believe, and I think there's something to it, but that's not what I believe. And what it is your technique is based on you individually, person to person. It's always different.
Correct.
I believe that technique should be, at the very foundation, should be consistent through everybody. And my argument
Correct.
is this: Lionel Messi traps the ball the same way Cristiano Ronaldo does,
right.
with the foot, right? The technique is the same. You could argue who's better at it, okay? But the technique,
right.
We give with the ball, toe up, all this. And I'm like, for a goalkeeper, trapping the ball is actually, it's catching. It's absorbing the ball. And how you have your hand shape, should be consistent. Like there's some that teach the diamond or the W. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. But if they're touching.
Yeah, that's it. That's horrific.
It's got to be a bigger pocket for that ball to fit in. But so many trainers are just teaching this niche stuff about how your hands should be, all this, and set position should be like. And I'm like, I'm thinking at the highest levels, you may have an outlier now or here or there, but it should be consistent.
Correct. And now I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. Okay. I apologize because you've really hit a chord with me. First of all, goalkeeper trainers believe the harder I work them, the more activity I throw into an exercise, the better it is. Like I'll see a goalkeeper session, and I saw one with an MLS Academy, actually. The recruit sent it to me, and I was blown away. The exercise didn't even start in a goal with the goalkeeper facing out. He actually started like in the middle of the penalty box on a diagonal facing away, like at the goal. It was bizarre. But trainers look at it like the harder I work them, the more activity, the tired he gets, the better the session. And it's not the case.
Right.
So I learned at the highest levels, like it's got to make sense. So if I'm saving a ball, let's say I start with a low ball into a shot. If I save a low ball to my right, I'm going to deal with a shot from that angle. I'm not going to get up and deal with a shot on the other angle because that will never happen in the game. If a shot's there and I leave a rebound over there, then I'm in big trouble. My technique was terrible on the shot. And that's an outlier, right? So train what's going to happen more often than not. So that goes back to your point. Basic technique. Saving a low ball is the same and this was a great example with Tim and Edwin van der Sar. And Edwin van der Sar was 6'5". Tim was 6'3". But van der Sar collapsed, used his frame the same as Tim would do. And I was there to watch Shane. But the way they did it may be slightly different, but the mechanics were the same.
Right.
When I learned a really good lesson when I got Tony and Zach, we're talking about two wide body guys, and even Tim. So if I told them your set position needs to be shoulder width apart, they wouldn't be able to move because quite honestly, they're too strong in their hips and glutes. So they needed to be a little bit wider so that they got the most out of their athletic ability. Otherwise, if I just say, and that's the only thing that I ever compromised on, but like the chin still had to be over the toes, the knees need to be bent, the hands need to be proper placement, catch with a wide surface, all that is common. And at the highest levels, that's got to be like your bread and butter. Like that has to be locked in. And we train that from the senior national team, the Olympic team, the youth national teams, to MLS. That was the start of every training. It could be a volley low for 4 balls. It could be volley mid-range. It could be, a scoop like a drop kick where they're into a front smother, things like that. And you can change the vocabulary, but it's all the same. But that was the basic of every warm-up I ever did at the highest levels. It was always rudimentary technique.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Hello, clubs. What is your goalkeeper culture like? Do you have 1 to 2 people that just does it all? Whether they're down the other end of the field running a goalkeeper training session. Maybe they're helping a head coach out in a team training session. Maybe they attend all tournaments and games and give in-game feedback. They help with individual development plans. They help in the recruiting initiative. Simply put, they can't do it all. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we're here to be your supplemental resource for all things goalkeeping. We start with education. We will help assist in the goalkeeping development through educating your goalkeepers on goalkeeping specific topics featuring the 5 elements of development: your tactical understanding, your technical abilities, the physical growth of a goalkeeper, the psychological balance, and the leadership skills needed to be a great goalkeeper. We have over 250 hours of recorded content for all of your goalkeepers and coaches and parents to take advantage of. We offer mentorships for both goalkeepers and goalkeeper coaches. We offer lesson plan support and curriculum support for coaches. If you'd like to learn more about the United Goalkeeping Alliance and how we can help your club get to the next level with your goalkeeping culture as a supplemental resource, please utilize the contact information above. This is Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance, and now back to the episode.
And now back to our episode.
Yeah. But don't you think, or do you think that because the belief now, I mean, if parents go out and watch a goalkeeper session, if, to your point, if the kid's not jumping around like they're a fish out of water, like just
Correct.
all over the place, they don't think it's a good session. They
Right,
come out
it's
to one of my
gymnastics.
sessions and it's like boring. I'm like technique and footwork, and we're working on different game scenario things. And so the point being that, do you think this is leading to a point in this country where we are not developing goalkeepers at the highest levels to really play at the international level? Because right now, I mean, we had this discussion yesterday about here we are going into World Cup and we're not even sure who our number 1 is.
It's a travesty, to be honest.
Mhm.
But you're absolutely right. I call those kind of training sessions gymnastics. It's gymnastics. Like I'm jumping over 4 different things. And if I ask Tony Meola, Zach Thornton, Kasey Keller, or Tim Howard that we're going to bound over a couple of hurdles, and then you're going to slide under a pole and save a low ball, and then, by the way, at the end, you're going to get up and catch a cross, they would have just said no. And I would have been like, well, okay. I mean, like, it's just not, it's not practical. The answer would be no. The next thing would be they would speak to the manager, and I'd be with the administrator, get my next flight back to the States. Like, that's how it would work. So, I mean, that's just honesty. I mean, that's why, like, when I look at goalkeepers at the senior level, so many of them are lacking technique. And Tim Howard's the perfect example. Tim, when he came along and I got him at 12, he was the best athlete I saw play goal. But his technique, he was raw. He was just a great athlete. So, and he knew it. And even at that age, he's a competitive son of a gun. And so everything we did was technique. And if you watch him play, everything was so fluid. Everything was tidy and neat, and even rebounds were put away from the goal. But that comes from hours, like 10,000 hours of saving low balls. It was funny. Like, you talk about it, Coach. I go out to do a clinic every now and then, and they always say, "Well, look, what do you need? You need poles, hurdles. We got this. I go, give me 6 cones. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can get my footwork done, volley, hand. Just give me 6 cones, because I think and again, this is at the highest levels. Plyometric work, jumping over hurdles. No, we have a whole department that deals with that. They're called strength and conditioning coaches. That's their job. My job is the goalkeeper coach. My job is to keep the ball from going behind them, and then to help them initiate attacks. So yeah. I realize at the younger levels, or, at some club, like all the MLS clubs, MLS Next clubs, they all have strength and conditioning coaches. So I don't know why the goalkeeper coach feels the need to incorporate that in goalkeeper training. Because I've watched a lot of games in my career. I've never seen, Peter Cech, Tim Howard, Van der Sar do a forward roll. Like, oh, hold on, guys, before you shoot, I'm going to do a forward roll and get up. Like, never once in a game did I ever see that. I never saw him face the other way. And then, oh, hey, they're about to shoot. Okay, let me turn around and make a save. Like, it's not practical. So why train it? And that's why when we move up levels, coach, we're not prepared because we don't have the building blocks at the younger ages of technique, reading the game, catching crosses under pressure, now with the ability to play with your feet. We just don't have it because we're too consumed with all the bells and whistles. And when you try to coach a top goalkeeper, there's no bells and whistles. None.
That goes to Eric's point earlier. It's good for the parents to hear this. It's great for the parents to hear this because I remember with the club I was with a couple of years ago, I had some coaches come out and ask me, could you come over and warm up our keepers before a game? And so I show up before the game and they're looking at me. All I have is 4 soccer balls and 6 cones. Exactly what you said.
There you go.
Yeah. And I go out from the goal because I don't want to tear up the grass in the goal area and all this stuff. It's a repetitive movement. I go, so that I do this we're doing some footwork through the cones to handle a shot. Then we do some low balls and then we do the distribution a little bit like that. And so afterwards they come up and ask me, I really thought the warm up would be more than that. And I went, well, what'd you want me to do? Pound shots into the goal for the next 15 minutes?
They must have known my college coach.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
That's great.
They're amazed at the simplicity of this is what they need. And it's practical. It gets them ready for a game situation. And I'm building confidence while they're holding shots. And I'm not hitting marshmallows at them, man. I mean, we're not ready to have s'mores, with the whatever. We're hitting good shots at them. They're holding and they're building confidence. And
it's funny because talk about a warm. I got a great warm up story for you. So, the warm up to me needs to be very personal for the top goalkeepers. Not so much when they're younger, but like we would rehearse Tony's warm up before the season started. Okay, what's it going to look like? Because you only have 20 minutes. So the goalkeepers get 25, but 5 of that is spent running and stretching and doing a lot of the guys, which is great. And Tone and Tim and those guys were good with that. Brad Guzan, they would do all their stretching and all in the locker room. And then we got out, we could get right into goalkeeping. But it's very personal for me. Like they have to walk out of that warm up feeling super confident, right? At the younger age, you kind of guide them through it. But there I would sit down and say, look, what do you want? And then the pressure becomes on me because you have to serve, and you talk about marshmallows, you have to serve a proper ball so that they feel ready, right? And if it's not you, like Zach Thornton hit a great ball. So I would incorporate Zach. And it made him feel a part of the game because he was taking part of the warm-up. There's a little psychological twist to it that like, hey, you're helping prepare the guy, so you're a part of this now. Like you're a part of his performance because you're helping prepare him. So it was a way to bring him into the conversation and bring him into the performance. But we're at DC 1996 when the league was doing anything to get people at the game. So we're at RFK and they let the season ticket holders have a happy hour behind the goal. So there's table set, drinks, pitchers of beer. And my first shot from the corner to D on Tony, I roof one upper 90. And the fans are giving it to him. And I could tell, like, he's not in a good place. So, like, I hit the next couple right around him, and I could tell he's still fired up because there's a group of people really giving it to him. So I walk down, I go, Tones, that was my bad. I said, tell you what, though, I'm going to purposely miss one. I'm going to blow that table up. I'm going to hit anything I possibly can over there. And he goes, oh, he's like, oh, okay. So I lace one, boom. Pitcher goes flying. They're screaming. My bad. But Tone, it gave me and Tone another level to our relationship. Like, yeah, I made a mistake, but I got your back, brother.
Yeah,
and,
that's great.
It was great.
Love it. Oh, yeah. Love it.
I'm sure they had to get their clothes dry cleaned.
I got a question for you,
When
Tim.
you started that, Mulch, I was like, I think I know where this is going.
You can't take the boy out of Jersey, man.
Well,
The boy out of Jersey.
okay, so Gary Henley, just a quick reference here about the Jersey thing. I'm from East Tennessee. You can tell by the accent and everything. I know it's confusing. You may think I'm from Minnesota, but I'm not. And so,
I get it.
So Gary tells people all the time about me and my coaching. He's like, Don may be from the South, but he's more New Jersey than me.
That's a big compliment, man.
Okay.
That's a big compliment.
Hey, that's a relative. That's relative. I'm from Boston, so I don't really agree on that. I will absolutely tell you differently.
All right. Well, we can go head to head.
Oh, we can go. I know. Hey, I ain't backing down. Jersey doesn't scare me, man.
All right.
My point is,
I got a point after you.
Exactly what you would have done. I would have laced one right into that table, blew it up, because they're giving my goalkeeper crap.
Exactly right. But you talk about like coaching at the highest level.
Yeah,
that builds relationships, and they have to have that trust. You have to have that trust.
I want to revisit the parent thing. I find that so important. I really do. And I know we're kind of not at the level of the topic of this conversation, but I do want to continue on the tangent just a little bit. But my point is, the trainer versus coach thing, mentor, is a huge discrepancy. They're totally different. And parents do need, and clubs hire trainers and think they have a goalkeeper coach. They don't know.
Right.
So that the education that needs to go to the highest levels of the club to make a good decision on who their goalkeeper coaches are, not trainers, is a big deal. And I feel that clubs in general lack that. But if parents can call clubs out on that, that's a huge deal. And I'm not saying call them out like get a negative discussion going, but where's the game model with the club? Are we following it? Are we coaching them appropriately? And with us here at the UGKA, we focus on 5 moments of the game. So we remove free kicks and we make that its own moment of the game, Tim, just because the younger kids need more support with that.
Sure.
Because that's not coached at the club level either. Like that's not coached
crazy.
at all.
That's
Agreed.
crazy.
Totally agree with that. The other is within those 5 moments, we'll focus on 5 elements of development. And you hit every one of them. When Blodge asked you a question, like, what do you look for? Or it may have been dumb, my apologies. But it was, what do you look for at the highest levels of a goalkeeper? You mentioned all of them. Technique, tactical understanding, leadership, your physical development, and also the psychological balance and staying neutral. Like you hit every one of them. And to me, people need to know that more. Like I feel people just don't understand it. And because they don't understand it, they're making bad decisions on their children's growth and development. Anywho, I just wanted to piggyback off that.
That does lead into our conversation about high-level goalkeeping, because that's why we don't have it right now.
Right. Because
we're not preparing them at a younger age to be able to play at that level. You know, like I think our goalkeepers are good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not what we used to have. Like, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and why is that? Well, I think part of it is they haven't been stressed. They settled for, like, look, Tim could have stayed at United his whole career and been the backup and made money and won trophies, but he wanted to play. So he went to Everton in a non-sexy club and played. We're sending guys over, to sit the bench at Arsenal and not play. And then when you go out on loan, you're going on teams that you're not going to play for as well. Like, that doesn't aid development. So it all starts, though, at the youngest ages, where you don't like that club, we're going to another. And we don't train the goalkeeper. Every club needs to have a goalkeeper coach with a methodology that the goalkeeper trainer knows this is what I'm required to coach. And I can have my own twist to it, my own personality, but it has to be technical. It has to be tactical. We have to have some physical component to it. Mentally, it needs to challenge them, and it has to combine with what we're doing as a team. I don't care if you're coaching U12s or the senior national team. That's a part of everything.
Do you believe that the head coach how much goalkeeping knowledge should the head coach have? And did you have any influence on head coaches' decisions at the highest levels when it came to playing time?
100%. I did. I was blessed to have coaches who let me do my goalkeeping and relied on my ability to do it. But they wanted input. They want to know every day how the goalkeepers did. How would you rank them? Where are they at? Where are they at mentally? You know, a good example was I had at one point in New York, I had Tim Howard. I had Tony Meola as the one, Zach Thornton as the two, Tim Howard as the three. Try keeping those three guys happy. Like, and they worked great together. But the competition and training, oh my God. Like it was like throwing raw meat to lions. Like they were just crazed. But I would have a conversation with the coach all the time about where are we at? How's Tim's development? Is Zach ready to go? How's Tony feel about everything? So like I had tremendous head coaches who gave me, they wanted that input. And then they wanted input on how the team, like, and I would ask them, what is the team like? What is the team looking for? Like, what can we do better to connect him with the team? Coach Gansler was great. Like he would, leave me to deal with Tony, and then he would just sometimes he'd look down the bench. I used to call it the Coach Gans stare. If he didn't like something, I could feel his cheek, like him burning my cheek, and I would just continue to look straight at the field. And I'd turn to the assistant coach. I go, Bliss, is he still looking at me? He'd be like, yep. I'm like, okay, just keep going. But yeah, I think that's tremendously important for the goalkeeper coach, for the head coach to know what's going on with the goalkeepers, because they're quick to go at them. They should know what's going on. And if they don't have a goalkeeping background, as a goalkeeper coach, you have to educate them a little bit. You got to, even at like it was great for me with Bruce because he was a goalkeeper. Bob Bradley, again, gave us autonomy to do it, but he wanted certain things out of the goalkeeper.
I was just going to add, like, I'm always curious on what the head coach's understanding of the goalkeeping position is, and how much do they truly lean on their goalkeeper coach at the highest levels? Because unfortunately, Tim, at the club level, there is no goalkeeper coach at a game. There is no goalkeeper coach. So who's giving this kid information during a game and coaching them? No, no one.
That's why there has to be some knowledge to the head coach at the club level, that especially at the youth levels of goalkeeping. Yeah. That's where video analysis comes in. Like, look, every game's filmed by somebody. So can the goalkeeper coach sit down with the goalkeeper and go through selected moments? I mean, look, it requires work. That's the other thing. Like goalkeeper coaches, like, I had long days, like breaking down video of the goalkeeper in training, the goalkeeper in the game, the opponent, the attackers, like, and that's the highest level. I know, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, it's a job. Like you get out of it what you put in it. So, and the more I was prepared with video or information to the top goalkeepers, the better it was, because they wanted that information. Now, certain guys wanted more and certain guys wanted less. Absolutely. But they wanted something. So it took work, but that's okay. That's what we get paid to do.
What are you looking at on video at the highest level GKs?
The first thing I look at them is again, and this is a pet peeve of mine. I look at their shot stopping, because that's the number one job description. Everybody now talks about playing with their feet. You can play with your feet all you want. You can't stop a shot. You can't play. You can't play. Right. And I don't want my goalkeeper to be the number 10. Like, I think some of this stuff is silly. We're asking the worst player on the field with his feet to make a hairline pass in the midfield over a player, and he's got the worst. He doesn't make those decisions every day in training, but yet in the build-up, we're asking to do that when the stakes are the highest. It blows me away. So at the highest level on the video, I'm looking at shot stopping. How's their stance? It always starts for me with the set position. Are they ready to make a play? Are they anticipatory of where the play is going to happen? And we'll look at them like, you're a bit wide here. That's why you saved with your feet and couldn't get your hands down, because you're wide in your start. They want that kind of, so we look at, that's the first thing I look at. I look at now, like, where's your starting spot? That's a big thing for me. Like, especially on through balls and crosses. If I start in the right spot, I'll get to more balls than I won't. But if I start too deep or start too high, I get in trouble. So, like, where'd you start for the cross? You're too tight to your line. If you're a step or two higher, that service to the top of the six is now only a 2 meter step for you as opposed to 4. And now you're more willing to come. So, technique, starting spots, again, organizing your team is a big thing. The last thing I look at, and this is heresy nowadays, is playing with his feet. Because at the highest level, guys are going to put the ball in row J. They're going to hear the whistles. They'll put their hand up and say, "Yep, no problem," but they didn't give up a goal. And you do that at club level, and people are like, "Oh my God, we need possession. What are we doing?" Well, what we're doing is we're living the fight another day. And at the highest level, that's all you live for. So, and then when I look at attackers, like, what are we going to do with the attackers? Well, do they want to come inside? Do they take again, at the highest level, a lot of it is first time finishing because space gets closed down quickly. So part of our training is a lot of first time finishing, getting to your angle quick, getting set early. Like, even if you're not in a great spot, you got to get set early, because if it's a cutback, he's not going to take a touch and then strike it and give you that chance. He's going to whack it first time. It's going to come through legs. You got to be set or you have no chance. So, so much of it for me is looking at strikers and does he want to go to the near post? Like, off the ball, does he run to the near post to get it? Does he look to come across his body when he chops it? Is he going to look to bend you back post if he's coming in on his weak foot? Like, just tendencies. And then of course, you have to react in the game. But I try to show him, like, okay, this midfielder is looking to always spring, a little tight diagonal through ball. If we're a step higher, you could cut some of those out. I use an example of Tim against Argentina. So at Giant Stadium, we played Argentina. And in the first half, we counted, Tim cut out 8 through balls from the midfield. Not like long through balls, like from 25 meters and in, like those tight diagonals that, are now on the tight angles. So he cut so many out. The second half, they didn't play them. So when they got in those spots, they played wide and served crosses in. Well, that was to our benefit because we were better in the air. So we ended up drawing the game 0-0. And a large part of it was Tim's starting spot, his ability to cut out that ball, changed the way Argentina decided to attack. So that's why we look at tendencies. So when we look at those teams, we're like, yeah, like with Mexico, we know Mexico is going to combine and look to score off combinations. So my training going into that would be things where it's goalkeeper play it, goalkeeper set it, shoot, so that they're moving from one angle to the next, just like combination play. So I just try to, like, a simple exercise that replicates what they'll see when they will play the opponent.
One of the things I really enjoyed going along those points, Tim, when we were down at yours and Timmy's camp in Florida, I remember during a couple of the sessions, I happened to be around Timmy when he was talking to the higher level goalkeepers that we had. And he was explaining things as if he were in the goal playing against, like, Chelsea in his head.
Correct.
Okay. And he would say, when such and such a player was here and did that, had his hips this way, he said, I knew what the tendency was going to be. And that taught me a lot because it said, you got to study your opponents. And I tell these kids today, I said, you're probably going to see some of these same kids over and over and over again,
Right.
You got to study them. What are their tendencies? Do they like to play the back with a goal? Do they like to give and go? What is it? The things that you're talking about. And it's these types of things are not even presented to the kids. So they go into the game. They might be prepared technically, which I agree with. The technique is the number one. I've always been a believer in that. And they might have some preparation and tactical stuff, but they don't study. They don't study the game. They don't. Even though they might get video, review, but they don't study it. They don't pick it apart. And that, like, I was listening to Tim. I said, I hope these kids are listening because what he's giving you is like ridiculous information.
Well, Blige, and to go back to the dilemma that we have at the youth levels, right?
Yeah.
And I started this, literally with young goalkeepers with the national team. So sometimes when we would play Guatemala in an under-17 game, you wouldn't have film on Guatemala, right? Like, it wasn't available. So after 5 minutes, I wanted my goalkeeper to know, all right, that midfielder plays with the inside of his foot. That defender always drives the ball. So if they get in and around me, I can bet dollars to donuts. That midfielder that always plays with his inside his foot is going to look to strike the ball with the inside his foot and maybe go across my body. He's not going to lace it. You know, if I have a big striker who is powerful, I figure, okay, when he turns, he's going to put his laces through it, and I need to be ready for a block, get the ball to safety. A defender coming late, you know, outside backs will be different. They're a little bit more skillful in terms of like they could shift it and get a shot. But a center back's coming, he's going to waylay it, and I need to be prepared. So just by watching the tendencies of how each player plays their position, I kind of start getting a dossier on what they're going to do when they get by me. And it doesn't take video, just takes concentration and paying attention to your opponent. You know, you can get away with it that way. You know, after 5 minutes, if I know the right back is always raiding, then I need to make sure that I get sufficient numbers to put the fire out over there and organize that. But when I get it, can I attack where he just came from? You know, so now we're making like tactical decisions at a really high level in moments because we're paying attention. And that's all it is.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Goalkeepers, what does your goalkeeping development roadmap look like? Are you focusing on all 5 elements of development of a goalkeeper? Those 5 elements are your technical abilities, your tactical understanding of the game, your physical growth, your psychological balance, and your leadership skills. If you answered no to any of those elements of development, you are not fully developing yourself as a goalkeeper. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we focus on developing goalkeepers through education of goalkeeping specific moments in the game, all while featuring the 5 elements of a goalkeeper's development. For $199 for the year, yes, the cost of 2 one-hour private training sessions, you will have the opportunity to participate in weekly live educational sessions on goalkeeping specific topics. You can also take advantage of our library of over 250 hours of recorded goalkeeping educational content. You have the opportunity to participate in goalkeeping specific mentorships. You'll have an immediate connection to college goalkeeper coaches. You'll also have the opportunity to have 24/7 online support. You'll also receive discounts for gloves, equipment, camps, and clinics. So goalkeepers, if you'd like to learn more on how the United Goalkeeping Alliance can support you with your goalkeeping developmental roadmap, please contact us at the information above. I'm Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance. Now back to our podcast.
And now back to our episode.
Yeah, I've told Paul and Eric this, the largest growth that I've seen in all the goalkeepers that I train. I'm the director of goalkeeping for Alabama ODP, was the director of goalkeeping for Florida ODP, South Region, all that. So I deal with not only a lot of keepers in that arena as well as my academy, but the biggest growth has been really concentrating on game analysis. Like when we do an interregional and they've got VO set up on every field or huddle, and I can get that film and then break it down and sit down with the players and go, okay, so let's look at this. Because you're right, somebody's recording everything somewhere, even a parent's got an iPhone out. So, but they don't get this information. And so now those players that are taking advantage of it are learning how to read and understand the game. Now they're understanding, okay, so this is what my backline shape should look like. So I know what I should be organizing. And it all can change because the game is fluid, but this is the basic idea we want. And so literally what I'm hearing from you, especially with the story about Tony cutting out the through balls, and this is something I keep repeatedly telling them, and it's great that I'm hearing it from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm hearing it wrong, is that the goalkeeper can literally control the rhythm and flow of the game, even change the tactics for the other team, not only for their team in how we play, but the other team. And I'm constantly saying the easiest shot or easiest save to make is the one you never have to.
Amen.
So if you can get this stuff organized, right, and understand and reading the game, you're controlling the game from the other end of the field.
Right.
In all 4 moments.
You're absolutely right. And look, I had at my size, those who can't see me, I'm not very tall.
What does
But
that
like I
mean?
had to organize.
Hold on. What does that mean?
5'9" on a good day. 5'9" on a good day.
All right. So what's your take on height? You don't do this now. I want to get back to your take on height, though, eventually.
Yeah, you need it. The days of playing at my size are done. The game's too athletic now. But Blodge will tell you because he coached me. Like I had to be spot on with my organization because I had to limit the, like for me, like crosses were always going to be an issue because of my size, right? So I had to make sure that we were organized, either to get a block in, make sure guys were organized in the box, things like that. So I think fast forward to where we're at now, kids are visual learners. They learn everything on a screen. Yeah. So, but I do it with my men's team here. You have to teach them how to watch film because they watch the game as a fan. They don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
they don't, or they just watch themselves. They don't get out and see the bigger picture. So that's where I come in, right? Like I'll ask, and I think the best way to teach this age group of kids is participatory. Like they don't want to be lectured. So, or they don't take to it well, which is another argument for another day. But I'll ask, like, what did you see? What were you thinking? Yeah. I want them engaged. And then I can tell them what I'm thinking and what I want, basically. But they have to, watching tape is an art. Like you have to learn how to do it. So they watch it as a fan. Like I tell our guys all the time, you're going to turn on the Champions League and you're going to watch the game as a fan, which is great. But watch the guy who plays your spot.
Right.
And see decisions he makes or problem solving or things like that. But, again, it's always coaching, always teaching.
Mulch, I agree 100%. I was at a tournament, a PDA tournament the other day, and they switched to goalkeepers at halftime. So the girl that was out, I was talking to her and trying to teach her and look at things that was going on in the game right now. But her eyes kept going up where the ball,
Yeah.
She was like, I said, "Are you listening to me at all?" Oh, yes, Coach, I am. No, they were off to being a fan. They were just watching the game because they wanted to cheer with the girls when they did something well, instead of taking those moments and turning them into learning situations. And that's what I really enjoyed. Yeah, and that's what I really enjoyed when I was at TCNJ Women's Soccer. These girls came in technically pretty good athletes, did not know the game at all. So sometimes it would take me a whole year for them to understand tacticals and stuff. And once they understood the tactics, along with the other portions of the position, once they understood the tactics, boom, their whole game just went, doop, and it was, then they started running the shows, and they don't, it's frustrating as hell. It really is when because these kids, like you say, they're all over the bloody place. You're trying to draw them, and even when you're with a group of kids, they're always looking down instead of looking at you in the eye. I got to snap these kids all the time. It's a very difficult learning environment for a position like ours that needs constant learning and application. And it gets frustrating, but you just got to keep working it until you figure out how to get it done, I guess.
One thing I'll add that it kind of just happened, and then I made it a point to make it happen, was when I was in New York, Zach Thornton on the bench and went the head coach, the assistant coaches, and I would sit after the second assistant. Zach Thornton sat next to me on the bench. So we had a running dialogue all game about what was going on, what we saw. And he would even give me input like, I think Tony needs to be here. And I'd be like, good point. I didn't see that. And then it started with Tim. And then when I was in Kansas City, Bo Oshani, who now went on to be a head coach, he would sit next to me, and it keeps them engaged, and it helps me because it's another set of eyes of someone who has been working with me, who sees it similarly, and who's also been like, they've been at that high level more recently than I have. So they're seeing it happen faster maybe than I do or whatever. But again, it's that buy-in that keeps the backup goalkeeper engaged. But it's also a way to point out things so that when they get their moment, they've seen it kind of in their head already, and they can recognize it and go.
I think one of the things one of the many things I respected with you and Timmy is I know when he was at Everton, and he was at Everton when we did the first camp, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then always remember at camp, you and Tim would always talk about things like he would call you, and then
Correct.
you would call him, and you guys would talk on the phone
Yeah.
over things that happened in the game, saying, "Okay, we should try. What do you think about this? Okay, let's try that." I thought that was unbelievable. That relationship was fantastic. I
Yeah.
learned so much from it just by being up through osmosis, basically. So
Yeah. Look, I'm blessed to have that relationship with him. I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
agreed, agreed.
It's been for 40 some years. Oh no, 38 years, I think now. But yeah, we talked and we still talk all the time about goalkeeping and life now. But when he was over both at United and Everton, he knew I watched every game, and he wanted input. And sometimes he wanted a voice, he wanted me not to say anything. He just wanted to talk. And I
Mm,
was that guy. And, with like, it's hard to explain. You guys understand it. It's hard to explain the amount of eyeballs that are on these guys at that level. The television audiences, the pressure, like, they lose to Liverpool and he's not leaving his house, you know?
yeah.
So like it's sometimes it's good as a goalkeeper coach just to listen, just to be there for support. And then other times I'd be like, you know, like he'd be like, I should have saved that one, right? I'm like, yeah, I just think, you didn't drop your hands or whatever. And to his credit, he would take it, you know. And that's why those guys are great. That's why I started off this way. All those guys, every single one of them that I worked with at the highest levels, always wanted to be coached. If you can make them better, they were all in, all in.
Mm.
Tim, how did you go about coaching the psychological component of goalkeeping at that highest level?
Um, it's relationship building first. Players will listen to you the amount that they trust you. And I believe that in my heart. If they trust you, they'll listen to you. So how I gained that trust, being prepared, having a clear training plan that incorporated things that they liked, that made them better, constant conversations, and off key kind of like grab a coffee, you know, let's have a bite, let's grab a beer, something like that, and just get to like, all right, what'd you like? What didn't you like? What are you struggling with? How's everything with your club team? Like when I was with the national team, that was a big thing. Like, how's everything with your club goalkeeper coach? What's going on? And, you have to build that relationship because mentally they need to feel that you got them because they know when the game starts at 0-0, it can only get worse from there for one of the two goalkeepers, right? Someone's going to concede. So you have to have a mental resolve and a toughness about you that the goalkeeper coach helps bring out of you by confidence. You only feel that way when you're confident. And I'll go to Coach Don's example. I guarantee every goalkeeper feels more confident in their play when they're technically clean. When they're technically clean, they feel they can stop any shot in the world. It's when there's mechanical issues or technical issues, then they're not so sure. And then that little gray area clicks in the brain that I'm not informed. I'm not as sharp as I need to be. So that technical, repetition over and over again. So it's not that you get it right all the time. It's that you can't get it wrong. Yeah. And when you have that mental switch that you can rely on to get you through those tough times.
I like bringing the elite level conversation down to the club level because, in my opinion, they're the same thing. Like, I know we're talking about like 20-year difference in development and all that fun stuff, but there are a lot of things that are like you can utilize at that youth level, including
100%.
the goalkeeper coach. And people don't touch the psychological component to it because I don't think they get it. Hearing you just simplify it literally to like, just have a conversation with them. Like, just talk to them. Just get to know
Exactly.
them. Ask them. Get them feeling. I agree with you a zillion % about the confident level of a goalkeeper. It needs to be high. And if it's not high,
it has to be.
I love what you did with Howard at that game and hitting over that table full of beers. Like, that probably brought a chuckle to him. It got rid of the negative energy. He's right back to where he was. But sometimes you need to be a cheerleader or just be there to support him and have their
correct
to have them playing at their best. Sometimes I feel coaches don't know that. And it's not hard. It's just that. It's building that relationship and having trust between the two of you.
And all my years with the youth national team was a bit different, but from the Olympic team on, there was never there were hard conversations or critiques, but it was never confrontational. It was never loud. It was always with the idea of them getting better and them helping the team win. And as long as you approach it that way, like it would never work. I see goalkeeper coaches do it now, and it would never work at the highest level where they're playing every role of the ball for the goalkeeper, or they're yelling at the goalkeeper during the match. Like I may say something like, look, I may get up and say, hey, they're leaving too high. Let's make sure we get that other back to tuck in so we have 3v2. Okay. But I'm not, or I may go down, start a little higher, like in a really non-performance way, so not everybody sees it. You see some of these sidelines, and it's a production. They want to get out there with their chest and goal. You got to get a, you did at the highest level, man. Holy cow! Like the manager would sit you down, goalkeeper wouldn't listen. You have to have a relationship where you can have critical conversations where they know it's for the benefit of them.
I want to go back to another point you made earlier about whenever you were talking to the goalkeepers, there was if they were playing on another club, it was always about the club, asking about the club. So at the youth level, let's say that, you're dealing with, you've got a club goalkeeper coach, and then you've got someone like me that could be your second goalkeeper coach, either through my academy or through ODP or something of that nature. And what is being taught is conflicting.
Right. Oh.
And so I find, the players are now sort of thrown into confusion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share an example with you. So I was fortunate enough to have 3 players go to the interregional this year. They were picked as number 1 coming out of the South. So now they go to the interregional to, hopefully be picked 1 or 2 to be on the national select ODP team.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. You got to have good players to work with to be a good guy. Have success as a coach.
You're talking to the right guy about that. I told you, I don't even know if I know what I'm doing.
So one of my players, she's a 2011, gets down there. First game, has a shutout, plays brilliantly. The goalkeeper coach, who is an NCAA Division I, in a very good program, told her, you don't need to talk so much. You need to let the defenders be creative. That's his words in how they defend. And I'm like, what? I don't remember creativity ever being part of any principle of defense.
No, but find out the school so I can play them. Because if that's what they're worried about, I'd like to get them on the schedule. That would be great.
Okay.
That would be great. Pass along my number. Pass along my number. Blodge, how you guys got it now? Pass along my number.
All right.
I love creative defending.
So the next day, she goes into her second game and she wants to be respectful to this guy because literally he's got her future in his hands, right? Whether he goes and fights for her to be on the selected or whatever. So she doesn't communicate, gives up 2 goals.
And now she's out.
Yes. So how do we at the youth level, I don't know if you had those kind of conflicts at the highest level.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you deal with them? And some advice on that, because it's really tough on these kids. Right.
So I guess I'll answer it 2 ways. One, I appreciate the fact that she tried to be respectful. I think that's a good quality. But I think you have to be true to what's appropriate to the game. Communication is appropriate for goalkeeping. If that coach doesn't get it, that's okay. And if she misses out on this time, if she keeps doing the right things, she'll get another chance because good players are found. They are. And it doesn't matter where they're from. If you're really talented, someone's going to find you somewhere and you're going to get a chance. It may not be at that moment for that young lady, but the more she does it and does it well, maybe interregional is not her ceiling. Maybe it's the NWSL or the women's league. Because she's done everything right. Now, all of a sudden, Tennessee takes a look at her and says, wow, she's really good. I know she didn't make interregional, but look, not everybody makes those teams. Tim was cut from the ODP team in New Jersey. 2 months later, he represented the under-17 national team.
Way to go, Paul.
Yeah, I mean,
I can work with
no,
that.
Blodge wasn't. It wasn't Blodge. It wasn't Blodge. It wasn't
Thank you.
Blodge. It wasn't
Thank
me
you,
either.
Mouse.
It was
Thank
long
you,
before
Mouse.
our time. Long before our time. But my point is, like, people will see things differently. But you're teaching her the right way to do it, and in the long run, that's going to win her more opportunities than this one. And then the other thing I would do is, I'm a bit, I don't mind a little confrontation. So I would probably call the goalkeeper, because say, hey, look, you know, was the guy a goalkeeper coach or just a coach?
No, he was the goalkeeper coach.
Yeah, I would ask him, like, I wouldn't put him, I'd say, like, hey, look, she brought this back to me. I'm kind of confused. Like, this is how I was always taught. This is in the circles I travel in, this is what's done. Where are you getting this from?
Mhm.
And see if you can have a conversation. Now, some people get very defensive and don't want to have it. I say, okay, thank you very much. Click. And that's it. But you're doing the right thing. Keep doing the right thing. Have her do the right thing. And I tell you, in the long run, it pays off.
Well, ODP has moved more to moving out people who are not college coaches, but they have a lot of experience and they know how to develop youth. And now they're moving in a lot of college coaches, which my argument is I'm fine with that, but that doesn't mean I always use it like this. I went to college and I took calculus. That doesn't mean I can teach it.
Right.
Okay. So
I use a similar example. I'm like, when I'm presented with things from goalkeeper or parents, like I always start a parent meeting off like this. I'm like, look, I watch Law and Order, but if you get arrested, you don't want me to be your lawyer.
Right.
I watch CSI, and if you get killed, I'm not figuring out who did it. So like, you may watch Champions League, you may watch the Premier League every Saturday. You don't know how to coach.
Right.
So
but my point is we've moved away now with one of the pathways to the national team and bringing in people that just because they're in college, and that's what supposedly feedback or surveys that they gave parents when they sent it back said, we want more college coaches. It's like that doesn't equate to development.
That's the problem. Like we're bending to the will of parents who don't know what's best for the kid. Like I honestly, there's a lot of guys that I know who coach goalkeeping who are very good, who don't have a license, who just think it, like I'll use my son's a great example. He's a professional goalkeeper, sure. But he's been around Blodge, he's been around me, he's been around Tim. I would trust him to do a session more than some of these guys with these elite badges or an NCAA division. Like, just because you hold something doesn't mean you're the best at it. And that's what we have to get away from and put the best people, regardless of affiliation, in the roles that they're great at. And that's the problem. That's the problem with development in America. Quick tangent. Like if you go to, like I spent a lot of time at Man United and Everton when Tim was there. The U8 coach at Man United is treated like a god. He's not looking to become the U12 coach or the U17 coach. He's great at what he does. And they give him, a lot of responsibility. And now he's happy there. And now he takes ownership of the 8s and they get better and they move to the 10s and everybody has a role. Everybody has a place. So yeah, maybe some of these guys coming into, they're maybe college coaches, but maybe they're just not a good goalkeeper coach. That's okay. Find the good ones and put them in those roles.
But see, we're back to your point about we're listening to parents when any other time you are going, parents don't know what you're talking about. Why are they telling me how to coach? Why are they yelling at their kid on the field? And I'm telling them what to do. It's like, we don't want to listen to them, but then you do listen to them. I'm just like, okay. But
I'm glad I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. But to your point, I want to follow up on that. Great segue into how do you feel about the Federation's goalkeeper education for coaches?
Look, I think it's made great strides from when, like I took the course, like I have my license and I got it in 7 days, and it was a brutal 7 days. Right. And back in those days, you had to perform. Like if you couldn't play, you weren't passing. Yeah. So I think it's so much better that it's spaced out and there's more material and you're actually judging, people in their own environment, which is great. Like I got my A license in Tampa and they brought in 2 Tampa youth teams. I'd never seen these kids before in my life. So how do I know who can play, who can't play? And but I think, when it comes to goalkeeping, man, like I just worry that we're not emphasizing the right things in these coaching courses. I think we've become so rooted in philosophy and what's in a manual than what's practical. And we talked about all the practicality of a training session. I think part of the licensing is almost like the more we give you, the more we're justified in the price of it, and advertising that you hold the badge because you can recite the goalkeeper manual by heart. But ask you to deal with Meola, Howard, and Thornton, ask you to deal with breaking down video, ask you to deal with the psychological opponent of he just gave up a howler and you're in a big qualifier. What do? How do you get him back? Like, those are things that need to be talked about. And for me, I think it's become too philosophy based and not practical.
Well, I teach the grassroots, the D, and a while back I taught the classical C,
right?
Where we did have to perform, right?
Right.
We didn't have teams brought in, and we were talking about this the other day with one of our other guests. Was that in order to get now the lowest goalkeeper license that you can get is the goalkeeper C for the federation.
Okay.
But you've got to have your C license coaching to get it. And I think we've took a lot of potential coaches who really just want to deal with goalkeeping out of it.
Yeah.
They don't want to go get their C.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I got to be honest. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you don't, and I'll use my son. I don't know if my son has a desire to be a head coach. I mean, he knows what the life of that is. He may just want to be a goalkeeper coach. So why does he have to go through all the other stuff when he could be the best at his craft by concentrating on that? And it's not just him, it's any goalkeeper coach. So yeah, does it help to have knowledge of what field players are thinking and doing? But I don't need to, if I can get that I don't need to go through the whole process to coach goalkeepers that way.
And the other part, and the other part about the whole coaching thing that has really, I think we're losing ground on far as the education of coaches, whether it be a field player coach or a goalkeeper, is back to your point. They're not performing anymore. There was so much value whenever I was out on the field, like the B license you come and spoke at when I was there.
Yeah. Being
on the field, sweating, bleeding, and everything with the guys where we're talking during breaks. And I'm learning how to coach on the field, where now you're stuck in a classroom or in front of a computer, and then you get 2 weekends where you spend the majority of the time in a classroom learning, again, philosophy, this and that. And then when you get on the field, you might get 15 minutes of actually coaching practice.
It's funny. Coach Gansler had a big influence on me. And obviously he was heavily involved in the old coaching schools. But he gave me he has a phrase, and I think going through our licensing when we all had to participate, he always would say, see the game through the eyes of the player. Mm-hmm. And I try to do that with my team now, but I always do it with the goalkeeper. Like we forget sometimes what it was like to be in between those posts and what you're dealing with. And it's very easy on the sideline to solve it. It's very easy on the sideline to make the save. But we've all been there where we've had, really good moments, really bad moments, and some in between. And you got to remember that you were that guy because it gives you that little bit of empathy to coach them at the highest level. Like, I didn't play in the World Cups, but I played in enough big games where I could say, like, look, I remember, like, Gio Savarese beat me with a trickler to the back post because I got to hop in before my set. So now I saw it and I could relate it to the goalkeepers I was coaching with because I remember doing it myself. And I think that can't be lost. It doesn't mean you have to be the greatest player or have to have had played the position, but it's helpful in those courses when you I always joke like, back in the old days in the 3-5-2, those wide guys would do 80-yard sprints up and back. And every coach would yell, get forward, get back. But not every coach was running the 80 meters each way. So it was like, yeah, that's easy, right? Like, let's get them back. Let's get them forward. We forget what it was like. So same with goalkeeping. So I think there's a merit to having that.
Absolutely.
Eric, you had a question, I think.
Yeah, I'm good. You guys kind of touched on it. Keep going. You're good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up a point, Mulch. When you came to do the symposium with Dean Koski in Bethlehem at that time, thank God he asked you to come up because that kind of got us a chance to reconnect a little bit because you were
it was great.
You were off traveling the world and doing your thing there, and I was stuck in Jersey. There was a fence around here. I couldn't get out. But you first of all, of course, you ran a class session. But the thing I really liked at the end, you asked the crowd, who's coming in after Tim? Who's the next Tim Howard?
Yeah.
Where are we? And when was that, by the way? Tim, you remember the year that was?
Yeah, that was like 2011, 2012.
Yeah. So it was a while ago. And we're still having the same bloody question. You were foreshadowing what was coming.
Yeah.
Back then, and people weren't listening. And where have we gone since? What do we need to do to bridge that, do you think?
I think a lot of it is identification, identifying the right profile of goalkeeper. We talked about it, the athleticism, the technical ability, the part that Eric brought up, I think is one that we haven't solved the riddle yet is with mentality. We haven't solved that riddle yet. We have guys who are comfortable making good money domestically, and not saying that you have to leave to go to Europe to play, but they're comfortable. We need some uncomfortable situations. Like the guys, Kasey went from country to country to get his game and fought like mad to be on the field. Tim was at the biggest club in the world and was told, you're not wanted. And you're wanted, but not as much as we want that guy. So he had to go to Everton, roll up his sleeves and get it done. Tony, like everybody had a replacement for Tony coming up. Was it Brad? Was it Kasey? Was it Billy Andrecki? Like Tony had all comers come at him and he just mentally stood his ground and fought. He fought for his position. Kasey and Brad Friedel had, tremendous battles over who was going to play. We don't have that now. We don't have that level of competition because at an early age, we're saying that's the guy. That's the guy or that's the woman. And we're not breeding that competitiveness where, like now we're like, all right, Matt Freese, Turner, Brady, like we have these guys, but like what big stage have they been on? Like Matt Turner's played in the World Cup, fair play. But since then, like where have we been? Like where have we been developing? We got to get guys at a young age, playing older or being bloody. Like the best thing my high school coach did for me when I graduated high school was put me in a men's league in the summer because he knew I was going to college to play against 22-year-old men, not play against another 17-year-old. So we have to get goalkeepers to play games in tough environments because that's the only way you're going to develop that mental toughness. And you can do that in the MLS. I'm a big MLS proponent, trust me. But if your ability takes you somewhere else, then you gotta play. There's no substitute. And then there was a toughness about that group of guys that I don't know if we have it yet, And again, part of it is because things are nice and easy now. You play on great fields. You're not playing at Fortress Grove in New Jersey, picking up like rocks or, at the Met Oval with bottles and things like that. Like everything's nice. And there's something to be said for what it used to be, like that toughness. Tim, when I coached Tim's club team as a 15-year-old, we played in front of the Middlesex County detention center. And when the shot went by the goal, it was by the fence. And Tim would run to get the ball, and the inmates would yell things to him, and he'd pick it up and run back as faster than he ran to get it. So, like, and it's a true story. Like, you drive right by it on 130. I mean, you'll see it.
Did he say hi to Blodge when he was picking up that ball?
Yeah. He wasn't incarcerated.
Not that you know of.
That's exactly.
For all of our
Convicted
listeners, I'm kidding.
George never
Lodge's record
convicted.
is as
Exactly.
clean as
Like
it
they
comes.
say in
In
strike.
solitary confinement.
Yeah. But no, I mean, so I think we have to get to that. I think we have to get, to that. And I think Matt Freese is a great goalkeeper coach, and Robbie Vartusian, another Jersey guy who's been at the top of the game in the MLS for a long time. So I know Robbie has them really prepared. So that's great. But we need those special guys coming through, and I just don't think we're identifying them. I don't. I think we're so wound up on, can he play with his feet? If I get one more call from a youth coach that tells me I got a great defender, he's great at coming out of the back. Well, can he defend? Because it's in the job description. Defender, goalkeeper. I tell a story about my dad. Got in the car one day after a high school game, and I was a pissy teenager. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you played well." And my dad grew up in Queens. He was older, so he played football, basketball, baseball. Knew anytime someone scored on me, it was offsides. He would just yell offsides. And he got in the car. He's like, "Oh, I thought you played well." I'm like, "How would you know I played well?" He goes, "Well, the ball didn't go behind you." I'm like, "Okay, that's a pretty good description of what I need to do." So I use that as the basis of my philosophy. Like, your first job as a goalkeeper is to keep the ball from going in behind you. So let's identify kids who can do that. And if they can play with their feet, that's great. That's a bonus. We need it. But if they can't stop a shot, then you got no chance.
Yeah, that's for darn
Shout out to
sure.
my pops.
Yeah, great man.
Wisdom.
Yeah. At the basic, right? It's always the basics.
Yeah, it's true.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Goalkeeper coaches, are you spread too thin? Are you coaching small groups? Are you coaching at a club? Are you coaching private sessions? Are you coaching in college? Are you selling equipment? Are you selling gloves? Are you running your own camps? Are you running your own clinics? Simply put, everybody, goalkeeper coaches have a lot going on, and they need at least 4 to 5 resources to make it work as a goalkeeper coach. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we're here to help all goalkeeper coaches with their development in their goalkeeper coaching careers. For $99 a year, yes, a cup of coffee a month, you will join the United Goalkeeping Alliance as a goalkeeper coach and have the opportunity to collaborate with over 175 goalkeeper coaches worldwide. You'll have an immediate connection into the collegiate game to be able to share your highlight film of your goalkeepers, in addition to the ability to recruit if you are a goalkeeper coach at the collegiate level. You'll have 24/7 online and live support with business ideas, curriculum, and lesson plan support. We will also promote your club, your academy, your equipment, and anything that you do through our social media outlets. Last but not least, and definitely an important variable, all UGKA coaches have the opportunity to earn 50% commissions on all clubs and goalkeepers that they bring in to the United Goalkeeping Alliance. If you'd like to learn more, please reach out to me, proud board member Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance, at the contact information above. Thank you for listening, and back to our episode.
And now back to our episode.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'm sure we could go on for hours and hours, Tim, but I know you got work to do too. But I mean, this has been fantastic for me personally. I'm on a high. Our relationship is so special, and to hear, first of all, to see what you've accomplished in your life, Mulch, is very gratifying. Okay, and you've done it well, and I'm very, very proud of you. And now you can still continuing it. It's I'm glad that you're still in the game, into the game with a lot of passion. I'm glad you are where you are, because your knowledge and everything right now is needed where you are right now. I think it's great. So kudos to anybody who gets to play under you. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan, always have been, but I'm a fan that you're nearby. So now I can get a chance to see a game or two. So which would be kind of cool if I don't have to work so bloody much, man.
Yeah, well, if we can get you get you away from that, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, this has been amazing. I can talk goalkeeping with you guys for days, and I appreciate you giving me the platform to come on here and talk about, the things I've experienced. And look, I mean, I said it before, like it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Blodge. I've been blessed with some great mentors, but Blodge was the original, the godfather who allowed me to do it. And then I was blessed to work with great goalkeepers. I mean, look, you said it, Coach Don, like you're a better coach with better players. And like I always joke with Tim, I don't know if I'm any good or not, but like he was really good, and people just associate us together. So maybe I'll take it, you know. But what you guys are doing in this space, in this platform, is so needed. I encourage you to please keep doing it. The three of you are awesome. Like I said, I listen when I'm not on the show. Please have me back at some point because I'd love to talk about whatever. But you guys are the best, and you guys like you made it easy for guys like me to coach at the highest level. And Blodge, you know I love you, brother. You're my guy.
Thanks, man.
Your family. So thanks for having me on to your stuff. And now you can talk crap about me now that I get off. All right. Don't just I'm listening, and I still have roots in Jersey. So with a phone call, this could go south.
Don't go against the family.
That's it. That's it. Us Jersey guys, take care of each other, man.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to make you listen to this episode based on everything we're going to talk about in the next 15 minutes after you hang up, man.
You got it, boys. And to all the goalkeepers that I had the pleasure of working with, thank you.
Okay. That's
Because
awesome.
you guys are the reason why I get to do what I do. So
Awesome.
love you guys as well.
Love you,
Guys, thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you.
Have a great day.
Tim.
All right.
Appreciate you greatly.
Be well,
Thank you.
boys. Keep it from going behind you.
That's right.
All right. Take care.
See you, man.
All right. That was
Wow.
one thing we didn't do. He just said it, and he's like, with all the goalkeepers I've worked with, like we didn't list them. And I want, if you don't mind, I'd just like to list the 9 that I've written down that we didn't. We knew Timmy Howard, Keller, Guzan, Hanneman, Friedel, Meola, Thornton, Hartman. He mentioned Ammann. Like these are stud goalkeepers. Like these are like
I don't know. Who are they?
Yeah. That's insane that he has had such an impact on some of our highest level goalkeepers and some of these are some of the best goalkeepers in the world. When you look like Timmy Howard and some of the others, like just wow.
You know, Mulch was always, and I think I mentioned this earlier on before we got on the air. Mulch was always a guy that just took something was presented to him, he just went and did it. And like the whole story with Tony Meola, you know, like you go down there and work with the number 3, you know, we'll do everything here on our own. And then he just said, hey, you know, and then it's the way he has built relationships that really kind of catapulted him into being where he has been and what he has done. The knowledge that guy holds, I mean, it's amazing. Just think of the experiences, you know, traveling to China, going to the Olympics. I think he said went to Guatemala once or something like that. You know, I've worked with the guys that he's worked with, and the respect that he has. It's a phenomenal thing. It really is, and I respect him so much. He's a great friend, as you guys know. But I want him to, you know, I'd be very thankful for him to continue success because he's a great coach. He's into it. He understands what needs to get done. He gets hot. Okay, he gets hot. He's got a drive to him, which is really, I respect that as well. But it was wonderful having him on, and I thought the conversation was fantastic.
He does
that was amazing.
Yeah, I love how you know what he's thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's not going to pull any punches. He's going to tell you straight up what he thinks. The Jersey in him, right, Paul?
Yeah, that's it.
But that's needed.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
I think sometimes we hide reality and hide the truth from some of these kids, and we fluff them up. And we got to keep these kids on. Like, just be honest.
Yeah.
I think that from an honest, if you have a great relationship with a kid or a goalkeeper at the highest level, like doesn't matter where they are, but the honesty is going to help with the development. And if that trust is ever broken, or if that trust is never established, you're going to have a hard time developing that kid. Or that
Conway said the same thing. You know, he says that he got right up to the camera. He goes, "Be honest with it. Be honest with the goalkeepers. You know, you can't. You're destroying people if you're not. You know, I mean, you might give them false hope. Yeah, you had a tough day today, but you know, you got the ability to get through it. Or no, you need some work. You know, you gotta take it back a step, and we got to perfect a couple of things before we expect you to move on. I don't think, you know, I'm so glad he said too technique, because you know that's what obviously we're all about. You know, you see that when we're working together at the camp. If you don't have good technique, and you're fumbling and bumbling, thinking how to go up. What leg do I go up with in the game? You can't think about the game because you're too worried about the technique. You got to master the technique so it's there. You feel it. You don't have to think about it. Now you think about the game, and that's the beauty of our position. I love the conversation, the things he said about the mental aspect of things, and
Yeah.
the relationships. I mean, just look at the relationships he's had. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, and his life is enriched because of it, and all those goalkeepers with whom he worked, our lives have been enriched because he's been with them too. It's just a tremendous story. I really love it. I really love it. Seeing Tim, and to be honest with you guys, seeing Moach come from like a kid who got turned down by Rutgers.
You turned him down.
No, I didn't. Riasso did.
Oh, you just threw Riasso under the bus right there. Don, write this one down. I got another thing for Riasso. So what's the Conway and the Big East final? And now it's this question.
Paul's really good at spotting talent. Cut Howard, didn't let Mulch on the team.
So you cut Timmy Howard from ODP, New Jersey, Balazs. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad I wasn't there at the time. I would have made sure he stayed in. But
Notice he's never there. You hear that, Don? He's never there.
He's always got an excuse.
Exactly.
Somebody else did it.
Hey, listen.
We just have video proof of it.
Hey,
It was real.
Hey, how are you guys? I got Mulch in my corner. I will take you on anytime.
We'll find out after he hears all this. Hey, what was your take on his comment on height?
Yeah.
Well, what's your take on it? What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what he said to us at my B lessons was, he's never taken a goalkeeper under 6 foot again.
Yeah. I at the level that I think the level that he is coached at, it's obviously has to be a factor now. I mean, watch Luis Robles. We talked that with Whale last night. What a career he had, MLS career he had. It was phenomenal. He set records and on. He was 5'11". But the problem is that a lot of the bigger players now are also phenomenal athletes, and that combination is if you do that, you have two athletes who are phenomenal athletes. One is 5'11", the other is 6'4". The 6'4" is probably going to get it. I understand that, but at the highest levels now, I think that's what Mulch was alluding to. Our levels and stuff, college levels, to me, that doesn't make any difference as much. I mean, if you Adelaide Gay, for Christ's sakes.
I was going to bring up Johnny Bush and Nicky Ronaldo.
Johnny Bush,
bring those guys up. Like they're not happy to listen to this.
Yeah. We should actually. It would have been interesting to talk to Mulch about them. I didn't even think about those guys, but it was a great conversation. Very enlightening. Fantastic points, and got to back up the thing too. Like, well, okay, who's next?
Yeah.
Who's next? And I thought Mulch brought up a great point with these kids don't get enough big games. I mean, big games where the pressure's on, and that's one of the things I love about with Bob Riasso at Rutgers. We went after everybody. Bob wanted to prove that we were one of the best in the country, and he did that. To do that, you got to play against the best, and we did that. We didn't always win, but the experience, the crowds, I think the biggest crowd we played in front of at Rutgers was 13,000 people in the collegiate game. And that was partly because when the NASL folded, the fan base had no teams to watch at that level for I forget how many years before the men's professional league came back in. They came to watch us because we were hot, and we brought in big games. The environment was, I just got chills again thinking about it. We averaged 4,000 or 5,000 people a game at a collegiate level, so that's big game experience. And that's a great point I think Mulch brought up. We don't have that environment. It's too muted. It's too diluted, I think, or something. It's pay to play. They say they're going to go to the big tournaments in the country, but some of these kids, you get some of these ECNL teams, they're getting beat by other teams 6-7-0. Or some of the MLS 1-2 teams, they're going in there, they're either crushing people or they're getting crushed. So is there parity there? Is that big game environment? Or, that was a really good point, I thought. That's why maybe we're not quite there at the big level yet again.
To me, it goes back to coaches. I see this a lot. Coaches at the youth level focus more on winning than they do developing. So what do? They play a watered down schedule of get teams that they're probably going to beat.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little different if you get an ECNL or MLS next, because those schedules are not made for you, and you have to get put in a conference and you have to play.
Yeah.
But seeing the level of quality from these teams at MLS Next or ECNL, it's not very good. I mean, it is. There are teams that are very good. I'm not saying that. There are teams that are very, very good. But the majority of them, you're paying all that money, and for what? I mean, where's the development? They're just there's so many ECNL teams in Florida, and that's always a kid having goalkeeping in Florida. They go, well, I play for an ECNL team. Yeah, it's an ECNL team that's just straight crap. Stop with the ABCs of youth soccer. I don't care that you play ECNL. I'd rather you play on a non-ECNL team and it be a good team, playing better competition than playing ECL against straight crap teams.
Yeah.
Do you think that knock on wood, hopefully this realignment that's taking place will address a lot of these things? Truthfully, hopefully it helps the American goalkeeper, right? By playing in those bigger games, more competition, so to speak. But stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah. Well, good job, boys.
Yeah, let's do
Very, very
final
good
words, and then Blodge, we'll leave final word with you. Just
knowing Mulch.
No, hold on. Let us get our final words in too, and then you get the final word.
Oh, I get the final. Okay, shoot. I don't know. You said Blodge get the final word. It's okay. I'm on.
The final word.
Exactly. Come on, man. The final word. Don, you want to start? You want me to go?
You go.
I love how, without being prompted, he brought up the 5 elements development.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Literally, like he didn't even like mention 2 or 3 and miss 1 or 2. He said all 5 of them, and I'd never met him before until this exact conversation. So seeing him talk about those 5 and how important they were, talk about the competition and the competitive vibe that these guys all brought to every session was awesome. And I know it was a focus on the high elite goalkeeper and the differences between, the microscopic differences between one or the other. But man, can youth goalkeepers learn a lot from this conversation. Man, can a lot of parents and head coaches learn a lot from this conversation. Tim was phenomenal. Blodge, I've said this to you with Conway, and I've said it to you with other conversations that you brought in experts, and it's really, I get envious of you when it comes to some of these relationships that you have. It's really cool to see the impact you've had. And, I'll probably regret saying this, but hearing you being like the godfather of goalkeeping, pretty accurate, man. So I know, Don. I know. Trust me. I just broke my pen. I got so mad. I just broke my pen. Anywho, that might come back to bite me, Don. I know, but I'm going to turn it over to you, buddy, with that one.
He's going to be at soccer camp, and he's this summer, and he is going to be like, we can't put it up.
Ready?
It's gonna be like, I'm the Godfather. This is what...
all I would be thankful for is a riding in a golf cart. That's it. That nothing else matters. So
you got a long way to go, Donnie. All yours, buddy.
I know.
To your point, the elements of development, and something that's always been a thorn in my side, really my ass, was the lack that he mentioned technique, because I've got to restrain myself at times when I hear goalkeeper coaches talking about, well, technique really depends on the size of the person or their body shape and all this. I'm like, okay, there's probably a little bit of truth to that, but honestly, like he said, Tim and was it Van der Sar did it the same way mechanically, but they might have had a little different take on it. But basically, the mechanics were the same. And I think that really hurts us in our development, because there becomes confusion, right? Because you've got this trainer over here saying, do like the set position. I always love the fact that he touched on that. Like this one guy, I had a player send me a picture of how this goalkeeper coach, again, a college guy, wanted her to set. It's like wanted her hands to be like she was driving a steering wheel. Like this. And I was like, what pro goalkeeper in the world do you see doing that? I'm like, nobody. And I went, exactly. So it's like they're trying to find a niche, right? Some technique that they teach that's just niche to make them seem special or more knowledgeable than other people. So I was really glad that Mulch was like, it's got to be clean and it's got to be the foundation. And we're all doing mechanically. We should be doing it the same, but with little tweaks here and there based on personality or something like that. So love that stuff. And the other thing I like is that he just was able to speak directly from his experience about certain points. And it just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's just simple. And, I heard this saying a long time ago, soccer is a really easy game. Humans make it difficult.
Good point.
Yeah. And I thought that's always stuck with me. And if you can explain it in simple matter, like he said, his dad go, well, you don't let the ball go behind you. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I didn't have to go into a flow chart an outline of bam, 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 you did this. It's just like you didn't let the ball behind you. So, So I thought it was great. He's one of my favorites. And way to go, Godfather.
Yeah, well, I got something right somewhere. I'm really glad you guys had the opportunity of meeting Tim. And I know, Don, you met him before at the B license, but to be able to talk and have a conversation with him is nice. I'm happy that you guys had that opportunity because I've known exactly what you saw is what I've known for Tim for a long, long time. To say that I'm proud of him for what he's accomplished is a ridiculous understatement. He has to be the best goalkeeper coach we've ever had in this country. From starting from that and all the people he's worked with, the level he's worked with, and he shared with us a lot of the problems. But I really enjoyed listening to him, how he worked with the highest level, how he developed relationships with them, and to me, that's what it's all about anyway. That at the level that I coach, and you guys know I'm pretty much a grassroots guy, but I'll have I won't have to develop any more kids now, and all of a sudden I get a 9 or 10-year-old. I got this girl, she's 10 years old, and JoJo's her name. She comes up, the smile just lit up the whole bloody place, and then anything you ask her to do, she's communicating. It's like, all right, I got to stick around now. You're part of the family now. I got to watch you grow and develop. It's just that's the way it is. These kids get you, but we got to as an organization, and I love what we do as an organization, and having guys on like Mulch and the conversation in Wales last night, and Ants and all these guys that we've had on, and like you said, Eric, they're all in alignment. All the people we're talking to are in alignment with what we're trying to do as an organization. This organization is the best goalkeeping organization in the world, bar none. I don't care what anybody else says about anything else going on. This is the best because of what we do, how we do it, the people that we talk with, and the programs that we have. And because we're good people, we care. And that's what Mulch always did. He was a good human being, tremendous common sense guy. He's like a chameleon. You could throw him in any environment and he would fit in and make it work. So I'm very proud of him, and I'm so glad we had him on. I'm glad you guys had a chance to meet him. So fantastic job, guys.
He doesn't confront Meola. He might never have done any of this.
Agreed. My knees would have been shaking. I probably would have gone the other way,
But that's needed. I think that all goalkeeper coaches can learn from that. That's needed to get involved. It's needed to just, hey, give me a chance. Like same thing with head coaches and goalkeeper coach relationship. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Wonderful. Love it.
Great stuff, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us at this edition of Crossbar Conversations. with Don and Blotch, powered by the UGKA, United Goalkeeping Alliance, the #1 virtual learning platform for goalkeeping in the world. That's pretty cool. We take the whisperings of goalkeepers from underneath the crossbars, and we bring them to you in open and honest conversations. There's nothing about the position that we won't talk about. Looking forward to all of our conversations that will be upcoming. You, as a goalkeeper, have chosen the most difficult position to master in the game. But remember, it's the best position in the best game in the world. Special thanks today for joining us with Eric Eisenhut, the founder of the UGKA, for offering his insights on what the UGKA is all about, as well as sharing his knowledge about the position and his passion of what he would like to see happen with it and what we need to work on. Thank you very much, Eric. It was great. See you next time. Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blodge. And we appreciate it very much. By the way, if you would like to offer your suggestions on different topics for us to talk about, feel free to contact us through the email address that you see at the upper part of the screen. That's info@unitedgkalliance.com. Once again, info@unitedgkalliance.com. That's it. Look forward to seeing you next time. Had a blast. Thank you.